And we laughed. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another Everybody Can't Go Convo. I am your host, Jessie Holly. And as always, when we have an interview on the pod, I have a special treat for you. And today I have on with us Miss Tiffany Tate, the founder and CEO, owner, the creator, the visionary, everything behind the Highflier app. And I know you guys are like, okay, what's the Highflier app? We are going to dig all into that. You know that I'm going to have links for you guys in the show notes, and we're going to go on a nice little journey so that you can find out about this amazing app that she's created. So, Tiffany, thank you for coming on with us today, and tell the audience a bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, first, thank you, Jesse, and thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited. I know we just dished about allergies and everything, so I just love, I feel like I'm just kikiing, with a friend in my house. So this is great already. But yeah, so my name is Tiffany Tate. I'm the creator, founder of the Highflier app. It's a mobile app, basically designed to make networking more equitable and fun, and really give you back the control panels of your business professional life. So I am here in DC, Northwest DC, and I'm just happy to be here. Yeah, I'm a big tech nerd too, so I'm happy to dig into that, but I don't want to bore you guys.
We can dive as deep into that as you want. Like we look, I'm semi techie because I know there are definitely people
Right.
who are far more techie than I am. I'm like, certain little stuff. I'm like, hold on, give me a sec. I got to think through this. Okay. So I'm always ready to phone a friend and make sure that if it's something that I don't know how to do it, I'm like,
Right.
okay, who in my Rolodex would know
We're
the
gonna
answer
figure
to
it
this
out.
question?
We're gonna figure it out.
Exactly.
Somebody in the phone or somebody in something knows how to do this thing I don't know. And if that fails, Google. Because,
Look, that part.
because
And I also make sure I'm like, okay, is it going to be faster for me to Google this or call somebody? Because sometimes putting the right thing into Google takes me longer than like, hey, I don't have time for this. Can you just tell me the
I
answer?
can't be prompt engineering right now. I just need to know this. I'm in an interview. Like, tell me this. Like,
That's keys right there. I like that. I'm borrowing that. I'll go ahead and give you credit for it like the first three times. After that, I'm gonna just be like,
it's
ah,
yours.
yes. I came up with prompt engineering because that is facts. That is facts. So, when you started to, tell us about, like, take us through the story of the inception of the app, like from the very beginning. Like, where was the idea born from, and like, how did you transition into moving from the vision that you had and the idea and moved into like the development stages?
Yeah, so funny enough, it came because actually last mid-January, I want to say January 16th, of 2024, I was talking to my parents because I joined a lot of business orgs just because that's what I'd like to do. I like to stay informed. I like community development. And I joined some, and so I was kind of just boring my parents with, the latest kind of networking thing I went to, and some economic development stuff happening in the city that going to those things allows you to really tap into. And my parents were like, they're from the southern Georgia, they're very kind of more like boots to the ground, like, they love business, but that stuff's pretty new in our family. And so they were like, wish we could have, like, we knew all this stuff was going on when we were kind of growing up, we just didn't know. They didn't know it, like the power of an industrial authority or a regional commission or a chamber of commerce. And you have to realize my parents are both the oldest of their, oldest six, oldest of 10. My grandparents had, they had things to do. They had responsibilities, as did my parents. So really, information is such a luxury. It's such a privilege to have information, which isn't fair. That's the privilege part. And so my parents just kind of like, yeah, like just wish we knew that. They're both fully retired now, living a fabulous life in coastal Georgia. But they still had kind of regret that we just wish we could have told you so you didn't have to figure that out yourself. And so at 3 in the morning, when I had my best thoughts that night or early morning next day, I just had this idea of if my parents, who are very comfortable now, but still they had to work that for everything they've had, everything they've earned it through their hard work. If my parents had that regret or that kind of hindsight of, man, I really wish that we knew this stuff, that what was going on, how many other people, especially Black people, who didn't get a 400-year head start, how many of us are really sitting there saying, God, if I only knew this, then X, Y, Z. And that just kind of led me to that thought of, this stuff is not equitable at all. Like it is actually who's who you know, how much money you have, because these orgs, a lot of, they're not free. You have to, even the free ones, it's like you try to go to lunch and you're going to end up paying a ticket price on that Eventbrite page. And I just realized this is all such a pay to play. And can I curse or no? Can you curse?
Usually we
Listen.
keep it clean,
No,
but let
okay,
it fly.
that's crap, bull crap. So I was like, that's not fair. Pay to play nowadays. So we have free all kinds of things, social media, everything else, but we're still keeping this integral part that can get people the business connections they need, meet the people they need to meet to help them rather find a job, follow their entrepreneurship path, or their corporate aspirations. We're still in a world where pay to play is king. And that to me was just where I just had that vision of like, no, that we're changing that. And it's almost by design that it's set up that way, because we've changed access to a lot of other things, but not that pivotal thing that people in the business world need. So that was kind of my vision there. And I just woke up, woke my husband up, like, wake up, look at this idea. And like just spilled it. And he's in healthcare, so he's not necessarily like a business mind, but he's like, that is a really good idea. And I was like, yeah, you just love me, so that's why you're saying that. And so I took it to my parents, and they're like, that's great. Like, you just love me, that's why you're saying that. And so I kind of crowdsourced people who don't care about me to see if they would like that, and they did. And I kind of from there was like, I gotta build this, like that's I gotta make this happen.
That is super dope. That is super dope. Yeah, there's something about those 3 a.m. thoughts and those 3 a.m. prayers
They
that
hit.
like
They hit.
all the downloads happen at that time of night or
They
time of
hit.
morning.
It's something about that. I don't know if all the vitamins are like settled, so your brain's like, you're good now. Like, get up, do some stuff. Like,
Oh, that is super dope. Okay, so with the app and the concept, the idea and everything behind its inception, explain to us a bit how the app works. What makes it different from like everyone's like, oh well, for networking, I already have LinkedIn. Like, we're always gonna name like the super big name, the things that have been around for years. And it's like, well, why can't I just I can use Facebook or I can use LinkedIn, I can use all these other job boards and different apps. So, what sets Highflier aside, and what sets it above the rest?
yeah, absolutely. So high flyer, and I always say equity in networking, and people kind of don't really know. They kind of misplace equity and they just kind of throw it into a lot of things. But that
Mm,
equity piece is so important, because that equity piece is basically allowing you and everybody in the app to have the same playing field. So the difference between a LinkedIn and high flyer is, with the app, basically you can put in your filtrations, you can put everything in, and it brings networking in-house, but those people come to your homepage already based on what you like. Now, with LinkedIn, Facebook, all of that, the algorithm kind of will give you a little bit of what you like, but it'll bring a lot of noise in. And it'll have you relying on your own kind of time management, everything of that nature, to sift through the noise. So it's literally finding, a needle in a haystack, and you got to sift. And it's like, okay, I don't care about politics right now. I don't care about this movie coming out. I don't care about all this. I just want to meet this one person that can get me a job or can help me run my coffee shop. And so our app basically has your fingertips. The everything you need is at your fingertips. It has the geospatial location where it brings everyone to you who's around you. You can swipe right or left. And the beauty of our app that really sets us apart is that equity piece. Think of when some people have different neurodiversities, right? So think of if you have a light sensitivity, you can't. Conferences are, I mean, it's like walking to a giant Walmart. That blue light is annoying to me personally, but a lot of other people too. Think of the sensory overload too. That's not for everyone. Also,
mhm.
a lot of people might not like low lighting, so you get those networking mixers, things like that. Those aren't for people, especially if they're a little more intimate. Some people might have a social anxiety that will prevent them from really showcasing their skill set because they're too involved in their own head. So that equity piece comes because it's allowing everyone that has the ability to have a phone, download app that's free to sit there and network on their own time. So be that if you are at home, if you are at your parents' place, anywhere that you want to be, you can network. You don't have to have money to go out. You don't have to sign up for LinkedIn Premium to you know, pretend that you are doing stuff that the original one doesn't allow you to do. But no shade. Um, you, but so you get all of that and you get access to all the people you want to access without the noise, without all the kind of crazy stuff now. And that also protects people's mental health because all of these things that once were a blessing have slightly turned into these little curses with social media. Um, and it also will protect you from random sales pitches and DMs, and especially for people who want to be protected, you don't want to kind of feel like you're susceptible to scamming, where you're like, does this person want to talk to me, or are they just like, when's the ball gonna drop? Like
Hmm.
when you're in those. And so our functionality actually has where the only way two people can chat is if you both swipe right on each other. That way it protects everyone. So it protects people who might be more of a vulnerable demographic from their chances of getting scammed. So that's kind of the difference there. So the other piece is great, have Facebook, have LinkedIn, but realize that if you are in a place or if you are in a space where you kind of just need to control more of your networking and how you do it, that's where Highflier steps in.
Okay, awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
So, with being local, in the DC area, is the app just meant for the DMV region, the tri-state area, or is this meant for everyone across the US?
It's meant for everyone across the US. So the reason we focus here in this area is because instead of trying to kind of spread ourselves too thin and also kind of spread user base too thin, I wanted people to have the experience of a full functionality of the app so they can swipe to their heart's content. And so the best way is let's start here. Let's start, we're here. There's so many professionals just kind of encased into the DMV area that I want people to be able to be so picky where it's such a dense population where they could say, because we have the filtration, like, I only want a marketing person with like CompTIA, like, I only want this PMP, I only want this. And I want that. That's why I kind of focus here. As opposed to kind of dwindling out, but everyone could use it. But I really wanted to focus here so people can really, really be picky, really find who they're trying to find, and that way we can spread ourselves out through the rest of the states and regions.
Okay, awesome,
Mhm.
awesome. So those of you guys who are not in the DMV area, still feel free to download the app. You may possibly even be able to connect with a handful of us that are here in the DMV area. And if you're in town for anything, or if you're looking at relocating to the area, that could also be a tool for you that is very rich and robust. Of course, you guys know that I only bring you the things that I've actually done and tried. So, of course, I am a subscriber to the Highflier app and have started to use it so that I'm able to build and grow my network here locally in the area. So, for you, Tiff, when you began like your development and building out the app from the ground up, did you have any challenges or experiences? Here we always ask everyone, well, what's your everybody can't go story? What were some of the challenges that you faced as you were building the app?
Yeah, so I would say capital. Capital was a huge just hurdle. I honestly think of all the things you buy. You can get a loan for a car, you can get student loans, you can get like just you can find money, right? Like I almost feel like the banks want you to go into debt. So like if you want a personal loan here and there, it's like here you go. Finding business capital was so hard. I honestly thought that it would be a lot easier than it was. It's really crazy because especially if you're startup, I feel like especially in America or like in this area, a lot of talk is, oh, we're so small business. This is where small businesses come and blah blah blah. And I was just like, bull crap. like this shouldn't be as hard. Like this should not be this hard. I mean, I basically was like, I'm a huge planner. I'm a project manager at heart. I have a good credit score. I have I have a full 5-year plan. And this is something that I really put work into and thought into to show the progression and show the trends and everything. And then I'm sitting there like, how many freaking hat stores are on the street? Like, how many coffee shops can you have? Which keep doing it because I'm obsessed. But all I could think of was like, oh, is everybody else doing this? Like, how is everyone else getting money? And I went, that really was a big, big, big wake up call. Black women only make up 0.48% of VC funding in 2024. So I was
Oh,
thinking of
wow.
that route. Yeah, I was thinking that route, and I was just like, well, that the odds are against me there. And usually I'm a big person of like, I'm gonna break these barriers, but that was just too risky because when I think about that 0.48%, it's like how many of those are vulture VCs, How many of those are gonna come in, swoop in, and say, okay, that investment, we actually want it back in 3 months or something like that. And so that was scary. So I didn't want to go that route. And even the business funding. I mean, I, to be honest, my husband is white. I was this close from being like, what if I make you CEO and you go ask for the funding? Because otherwise, I don't know what
Mm,
this is about. Um,
mhm,
and basically, that was a big, big risk. But at the end of the day, got told no by a lot of banks, a lot to the point where I'm like, listen, I can't keep doing y'all hit my credit score with these checks, okay? Like
mhm,
I can't keep getting these no's, or I'm gonna have to take a break and wait like another like 6 months or whatever these hard inquiries to drop. But finally, this day, I told him I went because I remember I was so discouraged. I put my hair in a bun. I put some mousse on there because I was like not taking care of my hair because I had like flyaways. I was like, I need to just look presentable. I went to this bank, put my little blazer on. I had all my plans, and I was just sitting there like, if this doesn't work, I don't know what. My parents are comfortable, but they're not like rich, wealthy, hit the lottery people. But they even were like, we'll
mhm,
do whatever you need. But what I need is a lot. And I was just like, I went to this bank within my head. I was like, if this doesn't happen, I am honestly just at my wit's end. Like I really didn't have a plan B because in my mind, this worked so well that I didn't even think about the aspect of it not working. So, or me
mhm,
not even being able to build it. So when I sat at that bank, I tried my best not to look desperate. I tried like, oh, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, of course it's a good idea. Like, give me the money. Like, I didn't want to be like, give me that money, please. Like, like how I really felt inside. But this man was like, it just kind of lets you know, like, it's sometimes you gotta go in your community. But he was like, banks don't love tech. They sometimes do, but they don't love tech from a lot of people, which he was like, without doing it. And he was just
mhm,
like, I think this is really cool. And I personally want to fight for this. And he was like, just fill out everything I tell you to fill out, do it quick. Let me talk. And he just was like, let me just get this through. And ultimately, it took a while, but we got it through and I got that funding. Which I was like, oh, thank God. But that hurdle, I was just like, there's no way that like everybody's going through that. There's no way. And I've even crowdsourced that and I'm meeting people who, don't look like me and they have things. I'm like, that's a good idea. It's not groundbreaking, but we need continuation in the country. And I'm just like, huh, okay. Like, and so that for me was how many great ideas got where someone just was at their wits end and they just were like, screw it, you know, because they just
mhm,
because they just couldn't. I mean, I was this close to being like, I don't know what a plan B is. So that for me was where I was like, I am about to go nuts, like if I don't get this money or a plan B. But yeah, that was a big eye opener of how important capital is and just how money is just such power. It's sad, but it really is. It can
mhm.
make your dreams come true, or it can make them just nightmares. I mean, straight up, Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that you said that was that really stuck out, right, just at the end there, how you were talking about you were right at the cusp of being like, okay, this is this is my last shot at this. Sometimes people don't have the, like you said, the resources or the funds to continue to, like how you went to bank after bank after bank. Sometimes, you only have one or two shots, and if
Yeah.
you aren't able to make it on that second shot, it's like, oh, crap. Well, like you said, I have to wait another 6 months. I'm going to have to wait another 12 months. I have to go back to the drawing board, put this, and this on pause. You're disrupting the momentum that you already have. And that sometimes that is where people will become discouraged, kind of give up, let things fall off, and or they kind of just let it fall to the wayside, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
well, it must not have been meant for me, or whatever. So like, I really commend you for continuing at it. And it sounds like God heard you right on time at that very last interview where you were at your wits end, and you were able to get that breakthrough and able to get that funding. I think a lot of times with the way it's portrayed in media and all of the different things that we see, it's like, oh, tech startup this, tech startup that.
Oh yeah.
And of course, we always hear the stories, and there's always headlines on the stories of like, oh, this group of three college students, or these two girls and a guy, or this guy and two girls, or I mean,
Right.
three girls, or whatever, like whatever this small group, they were able to raise $10 million in capital, or crowdsourced $5 million for their blah 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 tech startup, and now they're doing great. And like, your story is the small business stories, and like small startups, the reality of a lot of these, even some of our household name brands, the way that Highflier started. That sounds like the same beginning origin stories of like how Apple started, how Amazon started, how Facebook started. But when you're talking about that startup phase in the very beginning, we only get the highlights of those big dollar amount, like
Hmm.
crowdsource funding.
Right.
And it begs me to ask, like, what crowd have you sourced from?
Right.
Like, who are you
Please
guys friends
shoot them
with?
over to me. Please bring that crowd to my house. I will source the heck out of it. Please. Like,
Like that, I'm actually, now you have me interested in going down that rabbit hole. Because from the time I've been introduced to the app, and like the your reputation and the reputation of the business and the app actually preceded you. And
oh,
I don't know if you remember the first day we actually met in person, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're the lady with the app, and you're like, oh, hi, yes, I am Tiffany. And yes, that is my app. And it's like, you've heard of, and yes, I have heard so much about your app, all good things.
oh, yay.
And so, like for me, until we started to talk about the journey that you've been on, and how you started to build the app, build the business, in my mind, I automatically, just because of the reputation that preceded you and all of the positive feedback,
Oh,
all of the accolades that came before I was able to run into you in person, I'm picturing like, oh my goodness, this is somebody that's like on the cover of Forbes.
nope.
She's not coming to the club because, like, oh no, she has things to do. Like, no, like, she's too important for us.
Nope. I
And
fell asleep to American Dad last night at 10:40. I have nothing to do with this app. Like,
And like, I automatically, because of the way everything was put together, I'm thinking, in my head, like, I just equated it with those news stories of
yeah.
like, yeah, somebody, she crowdsourced like $12 million, and like did this amazing launch and everything. And so it's really nice to be able to put a face to, and someone who's so down to earth, someone who is so, like, you're a very welcoming and awesome person. And it kind of like, it clicked when it's like, oh my goodness, you're that late. Like, it was it was very encouraging to see, as a small business owner, that there are those of us who we are doing these great things, we're doing big things, but it doesn't come from the like, oh, it's slapped on the front of some news story or it's not popping up in the feed because we started out with a whatever $1 million
Right.
valuation or whatever $1 million worth of funding, that these funds are coming from who knows where.
Right.
And it's important with knowing those numbers.
Right.
I actually didn't know about that 0.48% of us, because I'm such a
Yeah.
dreamer that I'm like, oh, is that your idea? Okay, we're gonna go out and do it. We're gonna go out and do it right now. But sometimes that's where like it's a blind spot for me, that it's
Mhm.
like, hold on, we need to look at the stats behind some of this
Right.
so that we can fine tune what route are we going to take and anticipate some of the challenges that are ahead. Because with that stat itself, to me, that gives a bit more context and a bit more light to you going to multiple banks, and you didn't just go for a shot or two. You made multiple attempts to get your funding so that you were actually able to get the big push and start to actually develop and get this thing out there. Now, with the challenges that you had with the startup capital to begin the app and the company, was when you were able to break through with that banker that you worked with, did that because to me, I don't know if this is a typical timeline. To me, it seems like from your idea to your launch, that seemed like a relatively short amount of time compared to what I'm used to reading in all of these articles
Yeah.
with the people that have like these huge budgets. Were you like in hyperdrive like once the funding finally went through, or had you been building what you could while you were searching for the funding? Like, what did that transition look like?
Yeah, so I was in hyperdrive. I basically did everything I could on the side. I developed kind of the technology specs, basically the package, what that should look like, what the screen. I have a terrible drawing of what like what I wanted the home screen to look like, what I wanted kind of the swiping. I was like, while I'm waiting, I'm not gonna sit here and just be like da 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 da, because as soon as I get that money, I need to pay coding, I need to pay for domain, I need to start paying for things. And in the meantime, I'm not going to sit here and just wait because I couldn't afford to. I didn't want to. Um, I wanted that out. And so basically, through while simultaneously, in parallel, while kind of going, prepping packages, applications, all of that to these banks, then I have also another company where I do, I'm a project manager for technology enablement projects. I was doing that. And then when I got a break between walking my dogs, hanging out with my husband or something, I just am like, I'm gonna make the specs right now. That way, when I can get the coders, like hopefully when I get that money, it's start right now because I don't want to lose momentum and I didn't want to give up because I just feel like so many of us are so tired and just so exhausted and just we work so hard, we have to work 10 times harder. Like that I can see why people would essentially be like, this is a lot and I'm discouraged. I was almost there. But I was like, what if I go that opposite route that my like brain is telling me to do and just like hyperdrive it? And it actually kept me hopeful. Like, because if I had like all my stuff on the side that I drew, or if I had like my like original plans and my thoughts and my like notes app, and I just kind of would like come across that but not have any movement, that would be kind of devastating to me personally. Like that would be like, ah. But if I kept going, like, and pretty much like cosplaying that I'm getting this money, then I kind of felt like, cool. That way I'm not losing any momentum. So when it did come, I was like, oh my God, I have my specs. I have the coders already want. Like, I could just start now. Like, and we could just hit the ground running that way. And that's what allowed me to, it was literally like, do it tired, but don't drive yourself nuts. But honestly, just keeping that parallel because you don't know what the bank's up to. Turn what you need to turn in, but in the meantime, I could be doing other stuff. So give me the money now, please.
That's really dope. That's really dope. And I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So that you can keep yourself motivated and then
Hmm.
also to be able to take immediate action. Just because one thing isn't going right doesn't mean that you should stop taking action in other areas.
Right.
And it seemed like that worked out perfectly for you, to not have to. I know that in some business models, it's like, oh, well, don't waste the resources on building dot 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 unless you
Right.
know for a fact that whatever. But I really like the approach that you took. And I think that that the audience can take a like life lesson from that. Just because one area in your life isn't going the way that you'd like for it to go, or there's like one thing that is kind of messed up, or you're like, I'm working on it. Don't stop working on everything else or put everything else on pause until you improve or fix this one thing. Because
Right.
when you kind of just come to a standstill and you like, nope, I'm stagnant because I'm just waiting. I'm
Right.
just waiting. I'm just waiting. Sometimes that movement and that action on the way to the destination, sometimes that's that blind crazy faith,
Hmm.
and that's also that believing in yourself and believing God for, like, okay, I know what the end destination is and I know where I'm getting to. I know what the vision is. I know what the goal is, but I don't know how I'm going to get it done. Well, that's
Yeah.
fine. But you do know a whole list of things over here. So check off that checklist, doing everything that you can do, and those very things put you in the proper position and prepare you for that like intersection where, like, okay, you needed the funding, but you needed to build all those other things so
Right.
that it hit at the right part, at the right
Exactly.
time and space, and you were
Yep.
able to, explode from there.
Yeah.
So
It's
I really
like
like that.
things. It's like taking steps is easy, standing still is hard. And that's from Orange is the New Black. But I resonates with me. So it's like,
I never got into it, but that
what?
is a good quote though.
Please
Yeah.
do. Dang, I could have claimed that as my own. Well, just watch Orange is the New Black.
I'll have to go back and Netflix binge that.
You have,
Surprisingly, I did not watch that during COVID.
dude. That's when I got the whole like. Now I got to finish up like three seasons. Was like during COVID.
Oh, yeah, well, you guys know there are some parts of me that are very lame. I watched Jeopardy from the very first episode ever.
Oh my God, like
It,
an encyclopedia amount of like Jesus. Like,
I
can you sleep
literally,
at night? Or are you like constantly thinking of like random islands and like facts? Like
you know what? That is actually what happens in my life. Like hanging out with me, and it's like, oh, well, dot dot dot, and it's like, why do you know that? And at this point, my best friends are like, she just knows stuff.
she
She just
knows
just
she just binged Jeopardy. It's like, at least like good stuff. Like, cause all my like random facts besides tech is like random true crime stuff. So like, I mean, that's useless. Like, that's so useless unless I was like a cop or something.
Is it useless? That means if we ever went on a camping trip and
Oh,
there
I'm
was a
good.
serial killer, we would be just
Stick to
fine.
me. Stick with me, babe. Like, we'll be okay. Like,
That is another one of my favorite pastimes. I love a good killer show. My fiance hates it every day of my life, his
dang.
life. He's like, that was one of the things that I had to compromise and give up. I'm not allowed to go to sleep to my crime shows anymore, which I
Oh,
find
that's
very
so fair.
soothing.
I do,
So
it's that I switched to cartoons or like a South Park, a Family Guy, or like a Cleveland show or something. And I have
mhm.
found that's better because sometimes in the crime show, I used to do that, fall asleep until my husband would be like, "Can you like turn that down?" Then I'm like, "Oh, I can't listen to it if I can't hear it." And so I realized sometimes at like 4 or 5 in the morning, it'll be like a random scream, and I'd be like, "The heck was that?" And it's like, "Oh, oh, okay. 2020 is still playing. Okay. Like, so maybe that's good for us. Like, in the long run, not getting
Look,
screamed awake.
right, a good forensic files. I'm like, oh, there's nothing
Ooh,
like
his
watching
voice.
how, yes.
Oh,
And
his
I
voice.
think
The
that's what it is.
original guy's voice. I don't like the new
Yes.
person's voice.
The one that is still like a square, it puts the
The
two black
green.
bars on the
Yeah,
side.
and it was like kind of green, that green one.
Hmm.
Yes, and then they had like shades of blue and yellow in it. That whatever that one
Y-
was. Yes, that's a good one. Oh, his
Yes, the
voice.
throwback versions.
Oh,
The monotone voice,
it's so
and it's just like a very
oh,
matter-of-factly
it's so
inflection
good.
and
When
that
he
somber
finds something,
music.
he's like, "Wouldn't you believe too that it's like, oh, they found it. I knew they would." Like, that
Oh
and
my
like the
gosh.
guy Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries, like, so good. It's so good. The original ASMR is gold true
Exactly.
crime.
That part. That part. So, speaking of ASMR, okay, what are some of the ways that you take time out to relax, that you practice self-care as a business owner with wearing multiple hats, juggling all of these different things? What are some of the things that you do so that you can make sure to take care of yourself? You mentioned earlier, like making sure that you, when you go in a hyperdrive or you're super focused, like don't go crazy with it. So, what are some of the things that you do so that you can stay sane and that you're able to bring your upbeat personality and this great aura when you show up in the room?
Yeah, so I try to do like a lot of self-care. Like I love Sephora. But I have two dogs, and so like just getting what's really important is getting air for me.
Mm.
And I love outside. You wouldn't know it because my plant is dying right here. I'm gonna give it one more good round with the Miracle Grow, and then I might have to just make a trip to Home Depot or somewhere that sells plants. But like I really outside and getting that fresh air is so important, and having dogs make sure I have to. During the pandemic, I don't know if like I'm sure a lot of people did, but I was spending so much time indoors, like just working because there was like nothing going on. But I would go out because I had to walk my dogs, right?
Mhm,
But I was still not just taking walks if they're like, yeah, we're good, we're gonna stay in. And I really think that that is something that people take for granted, especially where we live in a beautiful place. Like
mhm,
I think that like just going and taking a break, and especially there's remote work, but then you also have office, so it's all kind of a smorgasbord now. But like if you're in an office, take that walk around the block. And if your boss is like, you can't walk around the block, huh? That's crazy. What? Like that's
I'm not
crazy.
working
I
there.
That's craziness. Like, but take that time to just like I pop in like my AirPods, I go and take a walk, and I really make sure like I take that time to do that. That's really important. I call my parents. I'm only child, so I'm like obsessed with my parents. But I call my parents. I like even if it's friends, everyone has friends that they went to like college and stuff with, where it's like you could not talk for 2 months, but then you will just randomly send each other something. It's like you talk and you're still good friends. Like I just like hit those people up. We kind of keep our groups and stuff. And it's just about like doing something other than what you get like paid to do. You have to do that. You have to go out because you don't want to forget yourself. And if you keep doing what, your 9 to 5 or your side thing and your passion project, that's great. Like I live and breathe Highflier, like hello. But you have to keep in touch with yourself. And so, like, I'll get a massage in a heartbeat. I will go and say, okay, my meeting's from okay, 2 to 3, but I don't have a next one till 6. Let me just pop on over to Georgetown, get myself a little rubby rub, like down with my back. My back, I carry stress in my shoulder. Like, and then you have to think too of investing in yourself. I think this is a time of Black women resting and investing. You can do both. You just have to make sure you're delving it out right. You know, when people are like, oh, like that's so much money to do that or to, get my hair done and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but how many times you go to park on 14th and drop like $100 every time you went? That could have paid for like a dozen like good like manicures, or you could have done like a good like nice spa day like where you're at a massage place and you get like a freaking scrub and all kinds of stuff. So it's about learning what to invest in so that you can make sure your rest is like amplified. So I do little
mhm,
things like that, and like I'm obsessed with my husband, so like I'll like bug him too eventually in that. But I think that's important. It's like really, I think we need to tune in to what's important and stop. I mean, don't stop, like, but think about, do I need to go to the bar 6 times a week if I'm not taking care of myself, or can I go 4 times a week, but then make sure I take care of myself on the weekend or what have you, or between work or something? that's all, that's really what it's about, balance. And that's what I do.
That's really awesome. Like, look, I'm gonna be like you when I grow up, so that I can just, oh, I have a open time block. Let me just pop over for my massage.
I was gonna pop. I did the whole hustle thing. Like I hustle, but it's like I try to be smart about my hustle so so it's like scalable and it has like longevity because I did that whole thing, especially in my like early 20s, like where I'm just like, okay, the busier I am, and if I'm here after 5, that means that I'll be super important at work. And it's like, girl,
Hmm,
if you keeled over, your job is going to be on Indeed. They might give you a good week, but just
if
to be
that.
not rude, but
Hmm.
your job is going to be on Indeed, and the pay is going to be 5% more. So you got to keep up with you. You have to take care of you, and you have to invest in yourself. And you can do that and be responsible. I don't get this whole thing where people like you have to hustle and like that's what it is, and you have to stay up and you don't sleep and everything, or you're like a lazy POS. It's like no, we can somehow those you can have both. I don't understand this. We're in such a culture of like feast or famine that I'm like, what's going on? Like just like you don't have to do that. Like, you just gotta balance it out. It's not.
Yeah, finding that middle ground.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that, finding that middle ground, is, like you mentioned very early on, project management. You do have to have very good time management, and also, to a certain degree, project management. You do have to have that plan. You do have to have things mapped out. You do have to have that things budgeted out. And for some, it's actually not a part of my strong suit, but it is something that I do because I know that it makes everything else run smoothly. So
Right.
do I enjoy it? Not really, but it doesn't kill me to do it.
Right.
On the we have this assessment, the flight assessment. Audience, you guys, y'all know about flight assessment 2.0. What we're talking about in terms of that project management portion, that project management piece of the mind, those are your ATCs. Those are those people in your air traffic control. They are like, all the dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's, and they need the entire plan mapped out. Y'all know I
Right.
only got 10 for my ATC, but I work the mess out of my 10 so that when it's time for
Right.
my pilot to turn on, it like I'm able to execute. Because when you don't get those details out and map out that plan, when you do begin to execute, that is one of the main places where you will begin working hard. You're not necessarily working smart. Now, if you can work smart and you're working hard at working smart, now that's where you're able to see exponential
Right.
growth. And then you can go ahead and kind of like maintain from there
Right.
and move at more of a moderate rate, or a more comfortable pace.
Right.
But we aren't meant to always be in hyperdrive. There's a time for being in hyperdrive. There's a set plan when you're in hyperdrive to make sure that you execute on a specific set of things so that you are able to slow down and keep the train rolling, and continue with the momentum that you built, so that you're able to just live a life of balance, have that self care, but
Right.
have the success, and make sure that everything is converging all in one.
Yep.
So yeah, that is
Fabulous.
really awesome. Well,
Fabulous.
thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming on with us. Like, you've definitely imparted a handful of wisdom on not only the audience but me as well. It's
Oh,
always
I
a
didn't mean to
pleasure
do that.
talking with you.
Just kidding.
That's just how you are naturally. Like, you're around yourself all the time, so you're like, oh yeah, like, super humble and amazing person. And much congratulations on your launch a few quarters ago, and wish you nothing but success in the
Thanks,
coming
Jesse.
months. Looking forward to all of our little chats and everything.
Yeah.
When I'm like, well, hey, is this feature coming out? Is that feature coming out? Like, what do you think about this? And it's like, oh yeah, that's already in testing. That's in
No,
beta.
keep
That's
it
gonna launch
coming.
in.
Keep it coming. It's like I'm like Jesse's own UAT user acceptance testing. Like I'm about to have you have a whole swim lane. Like
Hey, and you guys, you know that I'm always down for stuff like that. So you guys know who I'm going to be calling on as a part of my UAT group. So when I tell you guys to click the link below and make sure that you download the Highflier app, And go ahead, build your profile, check it out. Even if you aren't in the DMV area, at the very least, you could go ahead and connect with me because if you're following, you've probably seen me somewhere. You may see me somewhere else. Y'all know I don't forget a face, I forget everybody's name. But that is not going to stop me from saying, hey, girl, wait a minute. I was scrolling on my high flyer. Are you, sir, are you such and such and such? You're in my app. So at very least, get on there and give me a follow so that we can swipe. I'm just gonna swipe everybody, even though everybody can't go. I'm gonna go ahead and put
Everybody
you
gets
through
a
the
swipe.
sifter
You get
first.
a swipe. You get a swipe. Everybody gets a swipe.
That is for sure. So, where are your socials and where can people find you on socials?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Highflier app, and I'm in Highflier as well. I will be on TikTok soon, but that's going to be the handles for that will be on the Instagram. So that's kind of the central hub right now for news. But thank you so much. This is great. Hope to see you guys in the app and on the social.
All right. Thank you guys. And also, don't forget, click the other link below so that you can get your tickets to Pop Peeps 2025.
Ooh.
We are packing things out for you guys. We have an amazing lineup of speakers. We got Nas coming through. We got JR coming through. We got Tevin and some other special guests that are currently in the works. Y'all see I'm
Ooh.
rubbing my evil hands for you
Mwahaha.
guys. Yes, with the so you guys make sure that you grab your tickets. This is a live in-person event where you will be experiencing a full half day. Full half day. It's a full day. Yep. Look, we starting on time, but you know me, we may not end on time. You never know who's going to show up. You never know who's going to be in the room as a guest, as a speaker. I gave you guys a couple of those names, but you never know who could show up. So make sure that you get your tickets to Pop Peeps 2025. And we will see you guys on Saturday, June 28th in the building for that event. And with that, we will thank you once again for joining us, Tiffany. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. And we will see you guys next Wednesday for another Everybody Can't Go convo.